It seems as if the problem is not the knowledge, but is the writing. I think some of you are still writing like grade 9, and I also think that you didn't maybe get enough writing practice in grade 9. Maybe, I'm not sure. I'm not sure. But one reason why most of you failed the exam was because of the paper 2. The paper 2. Paper 2 was the reason. It could be other reasons, but one thing for sure is that the writing needs to improve, and we will have to improve the writing.
Why not village?
Because by us improving the writing, we'll be able to master the paper 2, which actually weighs heavily. Because if you are not able to write, you're going to have difficulty to do the SBA also. So for today's class, so one of the things is that Joseph comments paper 2 was a serious issue. Paper 1, most of you did pretty well on the paper 1. I think most people got over 30 or over 20, over 25 out of for the paper 1. The paper 2 was a major problem. And then I'm not even sure, because you have some students that did very well in the first part, section A, and then section B, they failed. I'm not so sure. Tell me, what was it, ladies? What was the exam?
Here, may I please speak? Because of section B, sir, I saw like this question about some mahogany in Belize. Sir, we learned about that?
Never learned about the mahogany.
Sir, that was a question.
But that is 3 marks.
So no, sir, that was for the second part.
No, man, it's not the second part.
Sir, it was one of the topics for section B. It was one of the questions for section B. One of the questions you had to write the essay. One of the essay questions for section B.
I know. 1 second, ladies. Unless you misinterpret the question.
Sir, there was 2 questions, and the mahogany one, it was like that question was broken down in like 3 parts, I think. So it would work around like 3 marks for true or so.
Lord have mercy. One moment, lady. I'm going for the exam. I'm looking for the exam here. So you think that is what threw you off in the second stuff?
Yes, sir.
Lord Jesus of Nazareth. Me never mark exam paper like this, and I feel so yet. Ladies, I was so depressed. But I know I go through the paper. I saw the questions that you, all right, it all have to do with interpretation. So you just see the mahogany and it just throw you off?
No, sir. Sir, to be honest, some of them I just never remember. Because it's like a lot of information, so. So I didn't remember like the sugar.
The effects?
Sir, I don't remember what was on the paper that much, but I remember that The questions, the last questions were the ones that threw me off.
Yes, sir. Same for me too. Sir, for me,
Same here.
I'm at fault for this, sir, because I didn't
me
study
too.
enough on the sugar revolution because I thought it wasn't going to be on the test. But yes.
Sir, same with me. I didn't know sugar revolution was such a big topic for the exam. I thought it would be mostly the indigenous people, especially I thought most of paper 2 would be about indigenous people. So I didn't really study that much for sugar revolution.
Well, you never study, and I tell you that you're going to get up to that. Why you never study, ladies? I come in, I look in for the paper in my email. I don't have a copy, so I could share the screen. Grade 10. So it's when you come out of the exam, you realize that the exam was off. Or while you're in the exam, which one?
Repeat, sir?
When did you realize that? So after you get the paper, you go through the paper, at what point in the exam you realize that it seems as if something is wrong?
The back of the paper.
When you look at the back,
Yes. For
nobody,
me.
why when I come into the room and they never said to me that, sir, we never do anything on.
Because, sir, at that
Yeah,
point,
because you had options.
What could you do at that
what could have
point?
happened at that point, sir? So I just kept it to
Sir, you
myself.
could give us the
So you
answers that
couldn't
we
tell us
want.
not to do the
Yeah.
paper or whatever.
Lord, Savior divine. Where's the paper? I come in, ladies. We're going to look at it. You're going to get another exam coming in. When is it? In later on in either May or June. And now you guys are going to do way better on that one. Way better. You're not going to fail it.
Sir, I honestly think that these exams were to just see where we're at. And because we're online, we never used to write that much. So that kind of interfere with us trying to analyze the questions.
Yes, sir.
Oh, God. All right, ladies. If a section A, B, C, section A, this question, I'm going to show you the question that most of you had issues, that most of you, and it's not everybody, this was it. Question 2. By the middle of the 1600s, somebody read the question. Read it for me, section 2. You can see it? You're able to see it?
Read where, sir? Question 2.
Yeah.
Okay, I can read it.
Go ahead for me.
By the middle of the 1600s, most tobacco farmers were worried about the slump in the tobacco industry. There were those, however, who had come to accept sugar as the most likely alternative to tobacco. Little did they know of the economic and social consequences of the changeover to sugar. Over in Belize, there was a change from logwood to mahogany.
All right, so read question A now. 2A.
2A, give 2 reasons for the changeover from production of tobacco to sugar. 4 marks.
B.
Give 1 reason for the changeover from logwood to mahogany.
C.
Describe 2 economic outcomes of the changeover to sugar.
D.
Explain 3 social changes that resulted from the introduction of sugar.
All right. Thank you very much. Now, ladies, for this question, which is B, I doubled the marks for A because we didn't do logwood and mahogany. That was an oversight, right? So students who did this section, the A part, A was marked out of 7. So I awarded the marks up here. This wasn't taught, and it is my apology. It was an oversight. I didn't see it until I was marking the paper. So my apology on that. The next thing, so basically you'll be able to answer A, C, and D because A, C, and D talks about the sugar revolution, right? I'm going to go over to here now. So we would have done this topic. So you see how much topic we do before we do the exam, this. So this was the last place we test you on sugar revolution, the impact of the sugar revolution. Go to Africa to get forced labor because Africans are not
Than the sun better than the white people, and they will die.
Because the head of to spread.
brings us to that was mentioned by, I believe it in West Africa than other parts of Africa because remember, and so we know the world was like that. Ahead for me. Next. So as a result of that, the Caribbean had to turn to another was the sugar as being physically strong. And let us remember that the priest Las Casas would have suggested that Africans should be used for slave labor instead of which group?
The Indians.
The Amerindians.
The Amerindians are the indigenous people. Very good. And another view was that slavery existed in Africa a very long time. So it was okay for them to transport slavery into the Caribbean. And we had the example of Portugal, the Dutch, and Brazil that would have started to export Africans from Africa to Brazil to work on sugar plantation. Now we know for sure, one thing we know for sure was that they selected Africans. Africans came. Now as a result of Africans arriving, there are some few questions that we're going to ask ourselves. What was the sugar revolution? From our class yesterday, what was the sugar revolution?
Sir, it was the changeover from exporting and growing tobacco to sugar in the Caribbean.
Very good. Correct. In which territory did the sugar revolution begin?
Sir, Barbados.
Barbados. Very good. What advantage did Virginia add over the Caribbean?
Sir, Virginia's they had more land to plant tobacco, and their tobacco was better than the Caribbean's own, and they also sell it for cheaper price. Many people bought from there.
Exactly. So the Caribbean was put out of business by Virginia. So as a result of that, the Caribbean had to turn to another crop, right? And so they would have turned to what they would have turned to?
Sugar.
Very good. Sugar. They would have turned to sugar. So if we look right here, there are two things that is coming into the Caribbean at the same time. A lot of Africans coming into the Caribbean to work. Yes. And also sugar canes are growing in the Caribbean. That is one of the reasons anybody drive past Mandela to come to school? Not when you used to come to school. Anybody know Mandela
Yes,
Highway? When you're going to country or anywhere like that? Portmore,
Yes, sir.
Ochi on a weekend.
Yes, sir.
You see a lot of sugarcane lands over there.
Yes, sir.
Very good. That is from this time until now. They have been growing sugarcane there. The first set of people, all where you see the road was once part of lands that were used for sugar. That enslaved people used to use to grow sugar. Anybody know where UWI campus is? UWI, the University of the
Yes,
West
sir.
Indies, or
Yes, sir.
you see all of that area? Anybody live in the Mona area know where Mona is? Mona, Long Mountain,
Yes, sir.
all of that area was one sugar land where they grew sugar. A lot of sugar. All where you see road and houses now were even oak gardens where you have the zoo. They used to grow sugar there. They grew sugar right there. So the Caribbean had a lot of sugar and a lot of Africans coming in. And so with the coming of the African, or the change over from tobacco to sugar, it led to what we call the sugar revolution. Why? Because revolution means a drastic change. Bianca, James,
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
what you define the word revolution for me, please? Revolution is a what?
It's a social order in favor of like a new system.
New system. All right. Walker. Walker, what is revolution?
Sir, it's like
Sir, it's
like putting
Repeat.
it's like getting a new system
to say
in order.
mainly one of four.
Yes, getting a new system. And so, ladies, in your notebooks, please write revolution means a drastic change in society. Revolution is a drastic change. Revolution is going to change. And so some of the effects is that, very important, is that we have three main headings of effects. We have social effects, economic effects, and political effects. Now, for social effects, one of the first social effects that is going to take place in the Caribbean is demographic effect. What do we mean by the word demography or demographic?
Population.
Ladies, so I played the recording from the class, which is here. So one of the first effect, social effect, demographic effect, on the exam, it asks you, where am I? Okay, I'm still here. On the exam, it asks you about the social, one second. It said, describe 3 social changes that resulted from the introduction of sugar. And so some of the changes that would have happened as a result of the introduction of sugar in the Caribbean, 3 is one that we would have looked at before, which was the demographic effect. Right? And so if you are going to talk about demographic effect, you in answering the question, you have something that we call the peeled approach. The peel approach in answering a question like that. So one, notice Barbados, before the sugar revolution, you had 18,000 whites living in Barbados. After the sugar revolution, 15,000 whites. Before the sugar revolution, 5,500 blacks lived. After the sugar revolution, the population of blacks increased to 68,000. So if I'm going into an exam like that, and the question asks me, explain three social changes that resulted from the introduction of sugar. I'm coming to it. Are we going to get it right? So, ladies, the question asks you, so you're in the exam, it asks you about three social changes with the introduction of sugar. You're going to the exam, your point, because when you're doing peel, you do point, you make a point, evidence, back it up Support your point with evidence and examples. E, explanation, explain how the evidence supports your point. And L, link it to the next point or back to the main point. So your point. So the first point, the question asks, 3 social changes with the introduction of sugar. And I'm going to make the point. 1 social change with the introduction of sugar was the population or demography. Now I need evidence or example. What would be the evidence and the example? So we make the point. What would be the evidence or the example?
So the population of whites versus blacks before they came from West Africa, and then so the results after.
So 2 things you interpret from the graph. The population of the whites, what? What was the change? Go ahead.
No, sir, can you repeat that, please?
What was the population? What were 2 effects when it comes to population change?
Sir, the society was predominantly white, and after the investing and bringing the West Africans from Africa, that caused the racial structure to change significantly. That made the society predominantly black, more black skin.
So the evidence we have here, very good point, is that 1, before the sugar revolution, the population of whites outnumbered the Africans. For example, in Barbados, the population of whites, was approximately how much? Around 18,000?
So I'm not really sure about the exact number.
The population was at 18,000, right? Was approximately 18,000. After the revolution, this decreased to 15,000, while the blacks increased from 5,000 to over 60,000. That's your evidence. Explanation. Why the populations of the blacks increased significantly? Because of sugar. So you have to ask yourself the question. So we say population change was one, and we say the population of the blacks increased, the white decreased. Explanation, why the population of the blacks increased? Why the population of the blacks increased?
So because of the demand for mass labor from West Africa, and also Las Casas, Bartholomew Las Casas' suggestion to use them for labor to work on the plantations.
Two reasons for the increase in blacks were the suggestion by Las Casas to use Africans instead of the indigenous peoples, and also the fact that sugar demanded a large labor force. Evident explanation, link. Link. Therefore, the introduction of sugar led to demographic changes in the Caribbean. The answer sound good so far?
Yes, sir.
It makes sense now? Edwards? Edwards, you're here?
Yes, sir.
You like how the question was answered?
Yes, sir.
It's an easier
Very
way.
detailed.
Repeat.
So it's very detailed.
All right, good. Now, when you do something like this in the exam, it's 9 marks. One, social change with the introduction of sugar. You have your point, 1. The evidence is here, 1. Explanation, 1. With the link, 1. So you get 3 out of the 9 so far. But he say must say talk about 3 social changes. So you have to talk about 2 other social changes. And so when you're writing, you have to use the Peel approach. The point, evidence, explanation, and link. We would have gone through the Peel approach already. Thompson? Thompson, you're here? Are you here? All right, good. Now, based on this that I have done here, ladies, or what we have done together, was the point clearly stated? What would you give it? 1 point, 2 point, or 3 points?
Sir,
Yes, go ahead from me, Walker.
the screen when you were doing the peel, sir, can you go back to it? I didn't write something. The last part.
Which one is it? The one that we did together?
Yes, sir.
Where it is? Oh, here.
Okay, sir, you can change it now.
So my question to you now, Walker, was the point clearly stated?
For the one that we did?
Yes.
Yes, sir, because you use the peel effect effectively.
All right. Now, there's a question that I wanted to, you see, since we're on the peel, I want you now to develop one of the points. So we look at demographic effects, right? And this is answer. We look at one social effect. I want you to peel the second one for me. Peel it. So you're going to open us, well, not all of you, peel it in your notebooks. Use the very same question to peel it in your notebook. 3 social changes with the introduction of sugar. So we look at demographic as one.
Sir, unemployment.
Unemployment was the next one.
I'm asking if that one, can we do that one?
A social change, unemployment.
You said you want to do it by yourself. Pardon?
Yes, unemployment with whom?
That's the social effect.
So a social effect, but which group would be unemployed?
Sir, that would be like the persons who that would be like some of the so that would be the people who weren't immune to the illness, who weren't immune to it.
One second. If we look at the social effects, I'm going to look at that. Some of the social effects that we looked at was one, demographic. Another social effect was new cultural practices. Another was social stratification. Another was the introduction of new laws. So these are the social effects of the sugar revolution, right? So we just developed this point, demographic. Develop this point for me, please, using the peel approach. So another social effect was new cultural practices. Please develop that for me, please, ladies, using the peel approach. Everybody, please. I know that time has basically expired. I'm asking you to do it. If you go 10 minutes over the time, it still can be done. Use the peel approach and develop this point. So you put the point. So I'll show you the information is there. So make the 1 point. Then you give your example. Then you explain. Then you link back to the question. In your notebook, ladies.
Sir, can you please repeat what you said?
In the same way in which we peel the first point, which was demographic, right? You're going to peel this point here as an effect, cultural effect. James? James, you're there, Bianca?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So Bianca, tell me the point. Tell me 1 point. How would you develop your point? That 1 point. Just the P you're talking to me about.
African culture was mainly introduced in the Caribbean.
So you said new African culture was introduced in the Caribbean. Yes, I would accept that. But I always want you to use the question when you are linking it. Because the question asks for 3 social changes. So include social change as a part of answering that question. Just include that as a part of your answer. Social change. Bianca.
So use it to say it as a question first.
No, you include the question as part of the question in the answer when you are making the point.
Social effect. The new cultural practices and the African cultures introduced in the Caribbean.
All right. All right, I'll accept that. Anyone else want to try? The point. Gabriel?
Sir?
How would you answer it? The point. Because remember, you need point.
Sir, I have basically what Bianca has.
So look, all right. So look at what the question said. You're going to the exam and if they said explain 3 social changes with the introduction of sugar. That's the question. That's a question that they ask you in the exam, right? We would have looked at one which was demographic. Another, use the question again, another social change with the introduction of sugar was another social change. I don't want to use introduce, right? 2 times. Another social change was the introduction of new cultural practices. That's how you make your point. Brown?
Yes, sir.
It makes sense?
Yes, sir.
Tell me now, Brown, how would you develop, what would you use as your example, which is the second part of the PL?
Sir, I would say that due to the exploitation of Africans from Africa, their culture was brought. Words such as Niam, Picnic is used in modern day languages for some Caribbean countries, example Jamaica. Food such as yam, breadfruit, ackee was also introduced to Jamaica. The Creole, their language as well was introduced to the Caribbean, and their religion.
But in the exam now, when you want 2 of it, how would you put it as the example?
2 examples of, okay, wait, sir. So sir, I'd say due to the exploitation of Africans from Africa, the African culture was introduced to the Caribbean. Their language, words, religion, music, musical items, and dance were also introduced to the Caribbean because of this.
All right, so very good, very good. With the introduction of Africans, new musical instrument, food, and words came to the Caribbean. Then your explanation, right? African culture played a very important role in the society. Food such as yam, breadfruit, and ackee were introduced from Africa. These foods are still popular today. link. Therefore, the introduction of sugar led to new cultural practices. Make sense, ladies?
Yes, sir.
So ladies, what you're going to do in answering the questions, go back to the PowerPoint. You have a group work. When is the group work? Is it tomorrow? Let her check.
Sir, it's due on Wednesday.
So yes, it is due on, the group work is due on Wednesday. And the present, so tomorrow we have no Zoom class. You're going to meet in your groups and you're going to peel, just like our peel right here. We peel together. You're going to peel the question that let's see. You're going to peel these questions that were given to you. A and B. Explain 3 ways in which the transatlantic trade in enslaved Africans had a negative effect on West African societies, and explain 3 conditions of the enslaved Africans on the slave ship. So what I want you to do is that you're going to meet tomorrow morning with your group member, call them through Zoom or WhatsApp or whatever. You're going to create a PowerPoint presentation where you're going to put the question, then you put PEEL. You put the point, example, explain, link. So remember, it asks you for 3 points, but I want you to only peel 2 points from the question. And you're going to present that on Wednesday morning. All right, ladies? Is it clear?
Yes, sir.
Yes,
Because
sir.
if we can get this, very good. If we can get the writing, if we can improve this part of this, your writing, then we are on track to get the grade 1. All right, ladies, enjoy the rest of the day. Please remember, contact your group members. Or if you want me to come on Zoom tomorrow morning, we'll meet on Zoom and I put you in breakout rooms.
Yes,
Which one
sir.
do you
Do that,
prefer?
please.
All right, so tomorrow morning we are going to meet at 8 and I will put you into breakout rooms. All right? Enjoy the rest of
Okay,
the
sir.
day.